Welcome to the Lion's Den, and I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a bull. You see me raising the stock.
Welcome to the Backstage Pass podcast with your host, Ashley Lakamowski at Fittest Ash Ever.
And your host, Valerie at Valerie. So today's episode is going to be about relationship with food. And recently I've made a post on Instagram about just kind of like opening up on how I've been struggling with like food and everything around it. I didn't go much in details because it is really hard on Instagram to kind of go deep with details. So I wanted to wait for that moment to kind of go into it a little bit more and just being very just open so like everyone can feel like, they're not alone because especially in the industry, it's something it's not talked about really often. Uh, so yeah, Ash, do you have?
I feel like, and I feel like Val, like, and I'm going to say this, is that like when she posted that, I think people like really care and they're like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? But for Val, I think that was a way for her to express, what she's been going through with food. And I believe that we all really have that. I feel like we all have some kind of, we all have like a weird relationship with food. And I personally, I feel like I have found a really good, not a really good, but I have found my food habits over time have just gotten better. Like just being more aware of, what I'm eating, like the things that I really believe that food is medicine for our bodies. You know what I mean? And I think that once we learn that and we kind of figure out our bodies and even like on a, even in like an emotional state, right? Like if we're happy, if we're sad, if we're depressed, if we're excited, like social events, like everything is surrounded by food, you know?
Yeah, which makes it hard. I mean, I think like obviously we're gonna talk a bit on like more of like a competitive, not even so, but like as a competitor, I think it's like so much more enhanced because we restrict ourselves so much. But I think even outside of bodybuilding, everyone struggle with it, right? I mean, like food is so good and it's everywhere, and like it's made to be addictive, which is a problem. I think people don't realize that food is a drug, which it is. It really is, and it's an addiction. And sometimes we don't realize it. But I think for me, I was able to like label it as like, addiction, which is, it sounds harsh, but that's what it is. And once you're okay with that, you're able to start healing from it. Um, yeah.
Do you feel like Val, like, let's put aside before you got into bodybuilding, how were your food habits personally? Like, how do you like, how was your relationship with food?
It's actually a good question. It's funny because I asked myself that so many times. Like, I feel like I'm trying to remember how I was before bodybuilding because when you try to remember like how you were in your childhood, or sometimes it's hard to like remember before because it's been obviously like so long. I don't I mean, I've always been like loving sugar and stuff, right? But I don't think it was I think I had still like a I think it was still fine. I didn't eat I think I was still eating obviously like sugar and like other stuff. I mean, like we're kid. I started bodybuilding or like starting like a diet with a coach around 15, I believe. So before that, I mean, everyone eats, anything. You don't really gain weight. But I was also like very active all the time. I was a gymnast. I was like playing sport. I was like running a lot. I started training. So I think obviously bodybuilding really like really made it like bad,
I know.
and I don't want to put something negative on like bodybuilding, but it's something still you have to be aware. Either you're a competitor that you're going through that, or you want to compete. We only like focus on the prep and competing part, but you forget about what's going to come after, or what impact it can have in other areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess like I'll just dive into a little bit like how I got there, like the last 2 years how it's been for me, because I've been obviously competing for like more than 10 years. And I think it's always been a problem, but I've never really seen it as a problem because I was always go back into prep. So you almost make it okay to gain weight and to eat more than like a normal human should,
Mhm.
in one setting, because we're bodybuilders and we restrict ourselves. And like for us, it's almost like normal to eat more. Does that make sense?
Totally.
It's like we go like we'll go to like get a burger. I'm like, I'll have two burger and a fries, and we think it's normal because we're used to eat a bunch of food on a daily basis.
Hmm.
But other normal people are gonna be like, you're eating all that for yourself. You're like,
Like, yeah, I'm
I
a
could eat three
bodybuilder.
times that,
But I
you know?
do.
Yeah. So I think we can like normalize that, which I don't think it should be. The more I learn about it, but I guess, yeah, every off season I would gain weight. And then I would get back into prep, and then I would get really lean. And then you get in place that you're so used to go back in prep and getting lean that you're like, I have willpower. Like I have self control. I can diet easily. I can lose all the weight easily. I can get lean easily. So you keep going back to like off season eating more because you've been restricted for so long, and then it's like a cycle that comes and go. And the 2020 2023, the year after I competed at the Olympia, um, I was I was planning on competing again. I started prep, and my body was just not responding. It was like you can tell when your head is not there. Like I would wake up, I was like not even like I didn't want to suffer. I was like I was not motivated. I didn't want to do it. And I was dealing with a lot of like hormone stuff too.
Mhm.
So I ended up not competing all 2023. And I just like the whole year was like really hard because I was like obviously gaining a lot of weight. It was hard to be on social media because you're a pro athlete, and that's the hardest part. It's like you're a pro athlete. You're viewed, people looking at you like from admiration of like being able to have that like crazy physique, being so lean and looking a certain way, and then you're like the complete opposite. But you're still supposed to be online, you know, uh, posting and promoting yourself because that's how you make money. So I would keep like pushing myself, like making content and stuff. But I was having a really hard time, and I feel like really lonely. Like I think I was like close to like depression, to be honest. Now that I look back, because most of the day was like summertime. Most of the day I would be in bed, but like I would like go like work, like have clients. I would go train, and I would come back home, and it would be 3 p.m. on a like summer sunny day, and I would be in my bed watching shows and like eating food.
Mhm.
So and that was like months of that. And I was even like trying to like remove myself from a lot of things that was like bodybuilding related. And then every time I would want to go out or being asked out to like, I don't know, go like eat with friends and stuff, I would get very anxious to be around people and around food, because the only time I would eat food, not eat food, but like, eat like like shitty food, I guess, would be on my own, because I was ashamed. So if I would go out and obviously I was like heavier than I should be, I would think people are judging me from like for eating a meal out, because I shouldn't, because I'm already way heavier than I should. When it's not the case, that's in your head, but that's where your mind goes all the time. So yeah, I guess like fast forward, just I went back into prep in 2024. It was probably the hardest prep of my life, but um, it helped me so much. I think like obviously end of 2023, I kind of started my really like my journey with like God and found God, and it really helped me through my prep. Um, but then after my show, I prepped again for like 5 weeks, and I was like, that's when I was like, I need to take a break. I need to remove myself. It's like I'm not the person I want to be anymore, in a way that like I was so like I was getting back to places that I could tell was not a good place to be.
Mhm.
I was really just in my bubble. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wasn't myself, And so I just can like take a step back. And then I was already in great shape because I just competed. So I was like, okay, no, like this time's going to be different. Like, I feel like I was in a better place. And then I, s- I guess, well, you make excuses. You're like, I went to Olympia. I came back. I got sick. Um, and then had hives all over my body. And then it just, from there, I feel like it's like snowballed, and like I didn't even know how it happened, but I started like gaining weight again, and getting back into those habits. And the funny thing is, it doesn't happen just from like I'm not eating junk like 24/7. I have my base of like I still have that mindset of like an athlete. I'm still eating my 4 or 5 meals with like protein, like healthy food, and but just 2 times a week maybe, or three, I'll just like eat something different, or like something like a lot of like peanut butter, or like or like a bit of chocolate, and then you just like overdo it, and it just adds up really quick. So I think people like don't realize it's like, no, I'm still eating healthy, but on top of that, I'm also like, there's moments that is probably like emotion driven, either like you said, either I'm happy, either I'm sad, I'm stressed, I'm like I don't feel good about myself, I'm depressed, I feel alone. Then food is my comfort place,
Mm-hmm.
so I go to that. And there, it feels like there's no way out, and my head knows. It's crazy because it's hard to explain. It's like your head knows, I should stop, I shouldn't be like eating more, but you just have like no desire to stop, and nothing can stop it. You just keep going because it's so good. That's the only thing that can make you feel good in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like beginning of this year, I kind of like, well, even though Christmas, actually Christmas, that just passed, I was such in a bad place. I was like so like sad. I was like hurting a lot because I was like, I got back into the same place I was before. Like, I just, how am I gonna get out of that? And I was at I'm gonna cry. I was like, I was at my parents, and I was like, I can't even be present for them because I was like, I was so like, I was always in my head. I was like always like not present. I was like numb. I had no emotion. I was just, I couldn't even. I was like, I just thought of like how bad I felt. I was like overstressed about like what should I eat? What should I not? Like I felt very like stuck. So when I came back from Christmas, I was like, okay, like I need to like refocus myself. And I went back to like reading my Bible. And it's hard for like, I don't even want to push too much on like, like God. And but at the same time, I have to talk about it because that's the only thing that healing me,
Yeah.
like, like truly, like through and through. So I started going back to the Bible, going to church, making sure I have like people that can support me, that are like, get me closer to God. And the more I would get close to God, the more I felt like He gave me like strength. He gave me like, patience and courage, and just it gave me so much peace. And it would change my heart so much and my mind that I would get to a place that I would eat my last meal and I would go to bed without even thinking of snacking, which is like usually that's my problem. I'll eat all my meals during the day, I'm fine, and then after I eat my last meal, it's almost like my brain knows, it's like you're not gonna have food again until the next morning, which is crazy. But you're like, well, what can I have now? What can I have now? Because there's no more food for the rest of the day. And I just got to a place I felt like I didn't even think about it anymore. I was like just focusing my eyes on one thing. And I'm still obviously in that journey. I'm still healing, but all what I did is like January I started just removing a lot of the food, instead of being like, let's go back strict to like a meal plan like I'm always used to, and I didn't want to go back to that. um I just said like, okay, let me intuitively eat, but keep it very, like you said, like more using food as like a not healing, but like medicine, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you viewed it in a different way, being like, okay, I'm gonna keep whole food. If I crave sugar, I'll have like fruit, I'll have dates. I'll remove like all like processed food, like all like sugar. And I kind of, it really, really helped me. And then February I was like, okay, I think I'm ready now to like get back on like a plan,
Mm-hmm.
weigh my food again. But I made my own plan. So I put food that I like, healthy fats, still like fatty like meats if I want to. But then it's much easier. I have so much more control. But that's something I'm still like, working towards. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and the great thing is that like you already know how to plan. Like you know foods you like, but you also know calorie wise, like fat wise, like how much fats to have, protein, carbs. Like you're aware of like things that wouldn't be good for you versus things that are good for Val. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also what digest well and everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard because I think like for me it was like very like the being scared of like I guess I just always use prep as a coping mechanism,
Hmm.
being like, okay, I'm gonna get back into prep, so I'll get back in shape and I'll be happy, I'll be like in shape again, and then from there I'll have control. But you're not, because you're not learning how to actually heal and have control.
Yeah.
So this time around I was like, there's no way I'm going back on a plan with like sending check into my coach or going back on a prep. For me, if I would like prep again, is I know I'm fully healed and I have like self-control. But it takes time, it takes healing, it takes patience, it takes strength from God.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But when I came to Texas, I saw, it's funny because Ashley's always lean all the time, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, how does she do? Uh, and then you think she eats like so like strict all the time, like off season she's like no like cheat meals almost. And then I went there and I was like, every day we like had something like good, and at that time I was still in a good shape, right? So when I came back, I felt I was still like, in really good shape. I didn't gain weight. I was like, wow, like it's magic. But it's removing the stress, first of all. But two, it was really like enlightening for me to see like how you ate. And I'm not saying that she eats shit all the time, but like the first day I think we went to like the barbecue place after
Yeah.
our workout, and
Yeah.
that night we had In and Out.
Yeah.
But it's like we didn't overdo it. Every day we would have a little something, and we enjoy it a bit more because we were together, right, for a couple of days.
Hmm.
But I was just like, okay, like it doesn't have to be strict all the time. It's really when you go overboard and
Yeah.
I
I
guess.
just think it's really like self control, and like you said, like learning through it. Like I feel like you learn so much about yourself also, and not to bring up the bodybuilding, but I feel like going through the extreme to another extreme, right? So like during off season, like, okay, I got to put on weight, if you're having to put on muscle, right? You're having to eat more, which can be really hard for some people. And then for some people, hey, it's easy because you just eat and, you put on weight, but then going into the next extreme. And so I feel like it's such a psychological thing that messes with you. And you're kind of like, man, and then you're getting attention when you're on prep. Man, you look so great, so cool. And then all of a sudden you're going into off season and you're gaining weight, and it can mess with your head and think, man, what do I look like? Fatty? You know what I mean? Like I feel crappy about myself. And I think especially with us women too, I feel like
Yeah.
when we go from the extreme to another extreme, it really messes with our hormones. And so we have the psychological effect in our bodies, like going through these weird stages where you're going through hot flashes, when then you start adding food and you're retaining water, and there's so much to it, and I feel like I will say is going through starting bodybuilding for me and going through these extremes really caused eating habits for me. Like it caused to where I was having these, I just felt like I had these not addictions, but it just like it kind of created these bad habits where, I felt like then like I didn't really want to eat. During off season I was worried about putting on weight too fast, you know what I mean? And it worried me, and just even the way that I felt. But I will say before I got into bodybuilding, to relate to like how you said before you got into bodybuilding
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really remember, like you're like, I don't know, you just ate like whatever. But for me, I feel like I didn't eat enough before I got into bodybuilding. Like I just was always still trying to keep my body, I still wanted to stay lean, and being younger, like I was always like fit. Like I always had a athletic fit where my body metabolized things fast. But it was once I got into high school when I was like looking at these girls, and I always wanted to have this like long legs and like look like this model and stuff. And I always so I'd always watch what I ate. I was always like, okay, like, but I would still do research. I still love like nutrition, like getting into like, okay, what are healthy foods I can have? But I don't think I ate enough protein. I think really I had always loved fruit. Protein, not as much. Carbs, yeah, but I just don't think I really ate enough.
Yeah,
So
which is like a lot of people
yeah, which is a lot of
too.
us, you know, and not having. But I never had I. But I also love to eat. So like I love food. I do. I mean, I will say that when I was younger, I like to eat a lot. You could ask my family. Ashley was always eating, always wanted food, like good food. So, in part of my life, so my dad loves to food. Or loves to food. He loves to food. He loved like he enjoyed food. His way to his heart was food, and I really got that from him. I really believe that my mom, my sister are kind of more alike when they're kind of more like bird eaters. You know what I mean? Like they enjoy food, but like they could eat less food and be fine with that. For me, like I always enjoyed eating. Like I liked to.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, when I got into high school, then I was like, okay, like I gotta watch what I eat. I can't just eat all this stuff, and really got into that. And then once I got into bodybuilding, I started training in the gym, around like 2017. I was like, man, I got to eat more. And I would eat more. And I enjoyed it because, like I said, I like to eat, but I was also like training and making sure like I got cardio in to make sure like I wasn't gaining weight. And I feel like through all the stages of my off season, prep, off season, like there were times where I got really heavy and I would look at myself like, oh my gosh, like this looks terrible. Like I don't want to ever get like that again. But I just think going through the stages of building muscle and then like recomp, like recomping your physique, your body just changes as you age and as you go through your career, right? Like constantly going into being lean and then being heavier. But I feel like during those years, I felt like I did have a not a great relationship with food. I started to really create these habits where like they weren't good for me mentally. You know what I mean? Because I'm like worried about eating these, or like you said, going out to social events and being around food and things. And it was like, man, like I want to eat that, but I don't because I don't want to like feel bad. I don't want to feel gross. And I started having like a complex with it as well. You know?
Yeah, you're almost like the other spectrum than me, which is
Yes.
like like in a if you look at you, you're like obviously physically you feel better because you're always, leaner. You don't put on much weight, but it's also not a good place to be, like
Yeah.
just being worried all the time and, almost like not wanting to eat because you're scared of like putting on like weight. And
Yeah.
that like like I don't want that mess with your hormones too, right?
Yeah, for sure. It does.
But
But I feel like over time now, even after the years, I like really don't have any kind of I don't really have any issues with food anymore. Like I just like I said, like I found that like and even like research and things like that and like watching things like how much crap is put into food, processed food, and to me it just makes me like grossed out. Like I don't even want to eat certain things. Or
yeah.
the way that I feel when I eat certain things, like I'll be really I'm just really aware of putting things in my body and how I feel. And I don't know, I created this, like my body's created this where I'm very sensitive to things and like it's like I just don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel crappy, but I still eat a lot of food.
But I think that's a problem too though, because like even for me, like
Mhm.
now I'm getting better. But I feel like when you that's a hard thing because when you have an addiction,
Mhm.
no, like anything you'll say to someone who has an addiction, it's not gonna change, or it's not really gonna register the way it will register for you. So for example, I mean, I think it's a great thing to like get knowledge on food and what they put in food and what that it does to your body, because it really like enlighten you in a way that like, okay, like why would I put that in my body if like it's making me waking up like crappy, if it's like, bloating me, or like anything that obviously is doing to our body or brain, like, or like brain fog and all those things. So it's like, why, like, it can be a really good tool, but at the same time, when you have such a strong addiction, it doesn't matter, because I've
Mhm.
been there. Now
Mhm.
I'm much better because I'm like, why would I eat processed food when it's like it's gonna make it worse? It's gonna like like destroy my digestion. It's gonna, make me even like concentration, even like all those things. Um, so now I'm able to be like, okay, no, like it's not worth it. I'm gonna put it away. I'll keep, normal food. But if you tell me, like, if you would have told me that like a year ago, it would have I would have not care,
You would
because you want it so much,
yeah.
that you
I just feel
it
like
doesn't even
you had to
matter.
go through it. You had to go through your own experience of what you did and having to turn over and be like, God, like I don't know what to do. Like I feel so depressed. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. And
Yeah.
you felt this overwhelming feeling of like, okay, like it's like you just know what to do. Like he gives you the answer without you really even expressing to people. They think you're crazy or something. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I felt better.
Yeah. Well, even like it's hard to put like word on it sometimes, but like just, having a relationship with God, it's like
Mhm.
you can't even explain it. But and sometimes I don't even realize it until like, even when I was saying I'll eat now and then I'll go on with my night, and then I'll forget that I want to eat and I'll go to bed, and I'll feel really at peace with just going to bed.
Yeah.
But it's not, sometimes you don't realize it in the moment, and then you're like, oh, like crap, like I haven't even thought about food, haven't even like thought about snacking. But that's what God does, because it works on your heart, it works on your mind. You just, you change your mind. So I think that's the biggest thing that's been helping me. And the one thing I will say is, I've been in because sometimes you have like good weeks that you're like, I feel so strong, like I feel like I'm in control. I have self-control. I don't like I'm not craving anything. So you go a good week, you have like everything's done, your cardio, like, your weight is going down, and then one day out of nowhere, you're like you're back to like square one. It
Mhm.
happened to me so many times. I was like doing so well, and like without next thing without knowing, like I'm there in like in my bed, like snacking on, but and I'm like, what just happened? And sometimes it's true. I don't like, you
With
just you go
like
through like
wrappers and like food all over your face, all over the bed.
I love how you probably have a photo in your head of me.
I did. I actually did. That's why it came to my head. I'm like, I could see you laying in the bed. You got food all over your face. You're like, huh? Like,
No, but it's true. And sometimes you're like, you just start with like, okay, like I've been so good for a week. I feel strong. I'm just craving a little thing. I'll just go get one little thing, or like, and then ends up like you eat that thing, and then you're like, oh man, that was so good. What can I have next? And then you just like, you go down that rabbit hole. Meanwhile, like 2 hours before, you were doing amazing.
mhm.
And you're like what just switched, and then you're like, you get discouraged. So the one thing that like really helped me too is like, I feel like now, as I'm like healing and getting stronger, it's like because I've got to have such a strong foundation, that I know I'm not gonna go backward. So even when, right now, like I'm losing weight like slowly. I'm like, I'm my physique's getting better. I'm feeling better about myself. But for the first time, I don't have that like anxiety and that stress of like, oh my God, but what if I'm like get back to where I was? I feel like it's not even like in my mind anymore, because I have such a strong foundation with God that I know it's not gonna happen, because He got me, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's it, is the only thing. Is like,
Really,
I wish I had a better answer to for people like struggling with food and stuff,
yeah.
like how like tricks. And but I guess like for me, being like vocal on here and like really wanting to like talk about it, is because I don't want to be another person on Instagram being like, here's my 5 tips. I'm not shitting on anyone because obviously I've been in the industry for so long and I've done so many of those videos in YouTube. But I don't want to be that person anymore who's like, here's my favorite snack. And it's great, it's still helpful. But I'm just saying, for someone who's really having a real problem and addiction with food, not just like, oh, sometime I'm craving it, I'm snacky. No, like actually a real problem with food. Um, the little like snack thing to like get your craving away, they're not gonna work. Trust me, I've been there. So that's why I'm like very vocal, because I think that those things are great for some people, but they're not gonna heal you. There are tips to help you, but they're not gonna fully heal you from addiction. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it needs to be something deeper than that. Either it's like, either you hit rock bottom and you're like, okay, like I think for me, like the worst was Christmas. I was hurting so much to like not even being able to like be there for my parents. And I was like I said, I was like emotionless. Like they were probably talking to a ghost. It's like I wasn't there, and I was like, I can't live like that. But
Yeah, especially the time that you spend with them, 'cause you don't get to see them all the time. So it's like, especially during the holidays, you want to be able to be there and enjoying the social Christmas. Let's have, the good foods and the
mhm.
traditional foods. But it's like you almost are just like, man, I don't want to eat any of this, and you just feel depressed. Where like you're just like, man, like I feel like I just can't even be happy. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's no joy. You're just very dark, very like numb. You don't feel anything. And I was just like, I love my parents, and I wanted to be there with them. I was like, I need to go home. I was like, I need to go home. I need to get be by myself. Like it's such a bad feeling.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I'm like, I don't want to be here like bullshitting people, being like, well, what helped me is, you know,
Yeah.
just keep fruit in your fridge. And those are great, like they help, but they're not the final solution if you have a problem, to a point that I had a problem,
Yeah.
you
I think
know?
that's why it's good that you're going through like a detox right now. You know what I mean? You're detoxing your body of all the crap, all the sugar. And honestly, like sugar is a real addiction. You know what I mean? Like it'll like you said, it'll creep up and then you have it and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, like it's literally a drug.
It's
Sugar's
like
a drug.
poison.
It is. It
It's
is.
not even, it's not like sugar is not even considered food.
No.
And like seriously, like 90-80% of grocery store are not considered food, which is crazy. So I think like the first thing, I guess, like I would say, if you're like struggling with food addiction, or like, finding a balance, or um not going in towards those like bad food, don't even look at calories. And I know it's hard, especially if you're like in the fitness industry, and the calories, you don't even see food as food. You see food as like calories, fat, carbs,
Mhm.
sugar. But don't even like worry about calories. Make sure you're eating a lot of protein. This should be your first food always to like have.
Yep.
And just stick to like whole food. Look at the labels. Everything that has more than like 3 ingredients, or has something that you can read, or any like cane sugar, like,
Right.
um don't have it. Stick to
Mhm.
like meat, fruit, veggies, like clean carbs, like, sourdough bread, rice, those things, Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Anything else, just start from there, and then just start like removing some stuff. Eat whatever you want. If you want to eat like, four fruit a day, it would be better that than eating a bunch of like processed food and like artificial stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still drink like energy drink and stuff, but if you start there, you're gonna start feeling better. You're gonna start your mind's gonna be more clear, and you're gonna be like one step ahead
Yeah. For
to
sure.
heal, I guess.
I think really like that's when you start to feel better because you don't realize because you're putting so much of this crap in your body that your body just gets used to until you start taking it away and then you're like, man, I feel like crap. Like what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
You're having all these body issues and you're having joint issues, your body hurts, you know what I mean? There's so many different people don't realize the sugar in certain foods can really affect you and the addiction. But there are so many recipes out there that I see that you can take like just to make like a yummy sweet treat and put some natural things together. And I've made some of this stuff and it's delicious. And You can find alternatives that are just quick. They're not like where you have to take forever to do this. It's, quick 30-minute, put it together and then eat. It's really,
Mhm.
and just kind of getting you more into creating better habits, right? So like creating, you have to start somewhere, and starting with like little habits. And I just feel like it gets easier, but you're still going to have the thoughts come up, and like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And for me personally, I can do once in a while, like, hey, I'm craving something sweet, but I will be honest with you, is that being away from taking away sugar, I had to, because I was feeling like crap, and it messes with your hormones. And so I was like, I can't have these, like, once in a while, like maybe a cookie. Like, remember when we went to HEB and I got the cookie? Like, I
Yeah.
could do that maybe every 2 weeks, and have one of those, and I'm fine. I still feel kind of crappy the next day though. Like, I'll have a migraine, and just because my body's not used to it. But I'm like, I just want a little bit of it, or I want to alternative make that at home or something. But I just
Yeah.
think that you can find ways, but you just have to first obviously realize, like, hey, like, I have a problem here. you know
Yeah.
I have a problem, something's going on, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed. Like, why am I feeling like crap all the time? You just really have to look, because the food, I mean, we don't realize that food is everything. And
Yeah.
we really need food to keep our bodies working and stuff. That's really what food is for. Obviously feel good, but it's really ultimately to keep our bodies operating and functioning. It's not really, um, I don't know. I guess I look at those things like that. That's helped me to create better habits with eating, because I've had bad habits too, before. And even when I was younger, like eating something really bad, eating like a box of donuts, right? Because I was like, I was craving it. And then, purging afterwards. I mean, I would. And,
Wow, yeah.
so I've done that before, or I'm like, man, why did I do that? Like, and I would throw up. I would throw it up. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember that, doing that a few times in my like early like 20s or something. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Just like have self control, but it's easier said than done. So
Yeah. I think I love when you said like the first thing is to um kind of like understanding and realizing that you have a problem. And I
yeah.
know it's hard to like it's hard sometimes to be okay with that, you know? It's like I think for me, I always knew I had a problem with it,
Yeah.
obviously, but like not to that extent. And I think this year, like after I competed in New York and I decided to not compete anymore, I was like, okay, now that I'm like not competing, I'm not gonna feel like I'm missing out on food or like I have to eat all the thing now because I don't have any like it's not like I'm getting on back on prep anytime like soon. I'm not going back on prep. So now I can have one free meal a week. I'm not like what can I eat like before I get back into prep. So
Yeah.
I actually thought I would be fine. I would be more in control because I had more freedom now, like in the long run. Um but I think because you're so used to it, like your mind is still the same. Your mind is still going to. You almost have to like reprogram your brain and like unlearn and relearn
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're like for a couple of months. And I think the biggest thing too is you need to give yourself grace and be like kind to yourself
Yeah.
because when I stopped competing and then I kind of like got back into um those habits of like if I eat something I would eat too much than what I should. And I was like, why am I doing that? Like I'm not competing anymore. Like I shouldn't be like but then pointing myself like yeah, I guess pointing not pointing myself, but being mad at myself and judging myself from doing that wasn't helping because at the end of the day I just decided to stop competing now. It's not like I need to give myself time to unlearn and relearn. And sometimes we're impatient. I thought like I should be like back to normal after like 6 months when I've been competing for 10 years. It's not gonna take 2 months to feel like a normal human
Exactly.
again, you know?
Yeah,
It's like it
exactly.
might take a year or two before I'm like I have a bit more control and I'm seeing food a different way, or feeling like I can eat just one thing and I'm not needing to eat everything. So I think giving yourself grace and time and just being kind to yourself, um, because those are ingrained in your brain. You can't just change like that, and think, okay, now I decide I'm not going to compete. I'm back to normal. It's like
No,
it's
I like,
not.
and I think it's good what you're doing. I feel like you're creating new habits and better habits for yourself because you've always been like back and forth with competing, right? Prep and then off season, prep and
Mm,
off season. I remember we spoke about this before of you not really having time to where you were away from it for a while, So now it's like you're finding Val at this age, at this time in her life, and
yeah.
realizing like, hey, like, man, food has been the main thing of my life because it really is. Food is everything, you know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
Especially with what we do, you know what I mean? And so, like, I feel like it's so good for people in a sense because it's like you can really, you can either you create bad habits, like, well, you do create bad habits going into the bodybuilding naturally, I
Yeah.
feel like. But if you're someone that already has addiction, food addiction going into bodybuilding, it could either make it better or it can really make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, then you see like, crap, I'm going down the same road of having this eating habit, like this addiction, and not being able to control it. So it's like you have to take a step back and
Yeah.
let me get away from this for a bit. Let's create some good things here so that I'm able to not have this, this that the food doesn't have control over me.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think, like, can I be honest with yourself
yeah.
and you realizing you have the problem first?
Hmm.
Um, and I think, I mean, competing is amazing. I love it. I mean, I'm always going to love it. But I think a lot of people use it to either cope, not just for like food, but any problem they have in their life. And I think that's when it gets sometimes bad or like dangerous, because
Hmm.
you have so many problems in your life, and
Yes.
then you use prep to escape.
Hmm.
Because when you're in prep, for people who doesn't compete, prep is like very like focused. That's all you think 24/7. That's a 24/7 sport. It's like your day is filled with, like, you wake up, cardio, training, eat a couple times a day, go to bed because you're exhausted. That's all you do. So you everything else in your life kind of take a back seat, and you don't even think about those things. So a lot of people gonna use it as, okay, now I'm focusing on prep, everything else can wait. But then you finish prep and it comes back to the surface, and sometimes even worse, because you've been putting it, on the back burner, and it just grew during that time. So it's like, I think it can be a very bad place to be.
It
And
really
just,
can. Yeah.
yeah, if you're like dealing with anything, I would just think, like, I would just tell anyone, man, the best thing I've done is take time. And I know it's hard, because when it's obviously like a lot of us, it's a part of our job too, and that's what we do. So when we don't prep, we feel really like, not like weird. It's very weird not to be on a schedule, not being so like, focused. But I think the best thing was for me was to take some time
Hmm.
off and be like, I need to re-heal and deal with my shit first before I even consider, even think about competing again.
Hmm.
So
I think that's very smart and very mature of you. I do. I mean, it
can
takes a
be
lot,
mature sometimes. No, it is.
especially doing like it's hard because it's hard to be like, hey, I need to step away because it's the sport itself is an addiction and not a bad one. It's a good
No.
addiction because, like you said, it gives you structure, gives you purpose. I feel like
Hmm.
you really find yourself truly, like find yourself through the sport on depending on how you look at it, and like I feel like Val, like you have came to clarity with a lot of things now, and that's why you're just like, hey, like let's take a step back. Let me focus on myself
Mm.
and really get good. When if I do this again, then when I do, you're gonna be strong enough to where like it's not gonna have like any kind of hold on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll be in like a much different place. And
Yeah.
I think it's hard, like, even for like, it's funny because I can be vulnerable like anytime, any day, but at the end of the day, you're a bodybuilder, you should be so like, you know, disciplined and stuff. So for a bodybuilder, like a pro bodybuilder, to have food addiction and food problem, it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like there's like some pastor, I actually like heard that. There's some pastor who has depression problem. Which like you would think that a pastor who's so strong with God are like happy and like it's like no, like some of them have depression, so it's like it's almost like you're in a sport that you should be so strong and people like sees you like so strong in something. Meanwhile, you're so weak and like you're struggling so much. And I think that's why for me it was hard. I think that was the hardest thing for me to like put out there, because it's a bit like shame. Like for a while, like I couldn't even post anything. Like recently, I couldn't even post any photo of me that I competed when I was in shape, and like because I'm like I feel like I'm lying to people because it's not how I look like right now. It's not like when you're off season, you don't look like that, but then you're compete again and you'll been prep again, so you don't have a problem posting anything that you're lean because you'll get there. For me, it's like I'm not competing anytime soon, so I feel almost like ashamed to post anything. Like I'm like I don't deserve that. I don't deserve, but I kind of said that on my post, but like I'm not worthy to like what I've achieved, and I'm almost like ashamed because it's not the season I'm in right now, so I shouldn't be posting about, you know, being in shape when I can't even control my eating right now. And it's such a bad way to think because I've done those things, I achieved those things. I know I'm capable of that. So why am I like, taking that away from me? But at the same time, taking a step back for the first time, that was because I've been through that like so many times, like I said. But a lot of the time I would still force myself to post on social media and like make, even if I didn't feel comfortable. And that this year was the first time I was like, you know let me take care of myself for real this time. Like for the first time I was like, and I think comes back to having faith that everything's going to work out. And I was like, God, I need to like focus on you, focus on me. And I need to stop posting on social media. And if I lose my sponsor because of it, if I lose all my followers, if I lose, anything, it's fine. It's totally worth it. But I need to heal and I need to take care of myself. And that
Mhm.
was like the best decision. And even now I'll post a little bit, but I'll post selfies. Like I posted the first time a workout today, which I'm like, but it just shows I'm like healing too, which is great. But I think recognizing when you need to take a step back and take care of you and not doing things to like, you know, please people or like almost, I guess, a way to like when you post when you don't feel like good and like good, you're still trying to like show people that you're okay or like, does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, and I think
Like
it's a way
prove
for us.
something.
Yeah, but I also think it's a way for us to like process things. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we all have different ways, and I think that I totally understand what you're saying because I feel like we all go through those seasons where it's like I'm just done. Like I just don't even. I don't have it in me, right? Like, or what I mean is like even like on our social media, like I'm just like
Hmm.
I don't know, like I don't feel any creative flows, right? And I go through creative blocks where I'm just like, but it's like I want to post something creative because like it's like almost like I thrive for that, and that could be like one of my addictions. Like I thrive off of that
But
kind of stuff.
I feel like you've been through that like recently that you had like a hard time even like posting and stuff.
Yeah, I did. I did. I feel like
So,
because I feel like I've just been going through so much change in my life and new things, right? Obviously, like I feel like I have such a change of heart in things in
mm,
my life where like honestly, like I feel like my faith has been the strongest ever to where like I've had to put aside the social media. That's not my number one. Like, even though, like, obviously it's, our business, right? But it's still like a way for us to express ourselves. So there's so many, I feel like, different avenues for our social
mhm.
media for us. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, it's just business. It's a way for
Yeah.
us to express ourselves in different ways. If it's training, if it's photography, if it's funny reels, whatever it may be. But it's like I lost touch with all of that where I live. Like
Hmm.
I don't have anything in me. I don't have, and I felt like I was like praying, like, Lord, please, like, show me where you want me to be. Because I'm feeling like I'm thinking in my head, like I'm 36 and I feel like I'm still in this place in my life where it's like I want something more and I know that there's something more for me, but I want it to be purposeful. And I felt like I would pray, like, just take away the things that you don't want for me anymore. Put me where you want me to be. And then all of a sudden it was like I wasn't having like he was taking away like certain things on social media, even like, Mikey and I create all the time, which is great, but like even we were just like we didn't have anything in us to do that. There was no purpose for it because I
Mm.
felt like he wanted me to be where I'm at now doing this with you. He wanted me to get back into focusing on other people and like doing the coaching, um, putting me just in a different spot in my life to where I just didn't feel the need and the urge to like have to get on social media and post every day at a certain time, like,
Yeah.
and because I felt like, and that could be for another topic, right? But that is like, it just became so much pressure, like where I felt like I got to do this because number one, when I had sponsorships, you know what I mean? And I still have my wonderful sponsors that sponsor me that I absolutely love because they help me, you know what I mean? Like my TRT clinic and, food and stuff like that. But like my sponsorships before, right? It was like, I felt like I was having to constantly, like, I had to like put things out there for them because, this is my sponsorship. But like a lot of times I felt like towards the end, like I was like, this doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm being fake
Yeah.
because I don't, and like bringing up what you're talking about, like sharing things, it's like I felt like I was being fake because I'm like, oh yeah, huh? But I'm really just like, oh gosh, you know what I mean? And so now I feel like I can just like,
He's my protein. No, I'm kidding.
I know, like,
I know
yeah,
what you mean.
and it's just like I didn't feel like connected. I didn't feel connected with these things anymore. Like these things were not like, and I felt like God was removing things, even though I was like, why? But I'm like, oh, because I prayed to remove things that were not for you anymore, right? How we are talking
You're
about,
like, shoot. I don't want to pray that. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, I know. And then realizing, like, okay, like I trust you. Like I know that you're going to bring good things for us, good things for me where you want me to be because you always take care of me. Like you always give me something better than what I expected, and so I just feel like that's why I'm just like, I trust you. I give it all to you. I
Yeah.
surrender the things. I surrender these things to you. And so now it's like just sharing things that I feel like I want to share and talking about things that we want to talk about. We want to share with other people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No, it brings me to like, it's funny you say that because I'm just so used to post my physique. Like, it's like our physique and like, and again, I'm not saying that in a bad way because that's our industry and that's what we do.
yeah.
But I think I also got in the place that, I pray to God, like anything that you want, it's not for me, take it away and, change. Like seriously, like every night, and especially like I feel like being new, obviously, like praying to God, it's hard sometimes to like even. I'm like, what should I even pray? So I just kept praying, like, please, like renew my mind, change my heart, and like that was like the biggest thing, in my prayers at the beginning, even now, and I was like, bring me wisdom, and when I stopped like posting, and then I wanted to like started posting again, like there was a podcast first that it was something so great, but I just got to a place I was like, I feel like there's so much more that I can give.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I was posting before, which again, I love posting about training, like my physique and stuff. And I still will. And
Yeah.
I've been so blessed that it gave me a platform and like all the followers that I have and all you guys that like been supporting me since day one. And even when I'm not present and even when I'm struggling, even if I'm in bad place, you guys are so like solid and like, supportive. And I'm so blessed for that because you guys truly care and sees me for like who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why also that's what I want for us to have on the podcast is just a community of people who truly, support us and just are here with us. But yeah, I got to a place I was like, I feel like I have so much more to give that I don't want to just keep posting about my training and my food and my physique, and I don't want people to not even support me, but like being, how do you say that, um like looking at me as like
Like an
I guess
option.
an idol or something for
Yeah.
just how I look
Yes.
and how crazy my physique can be and how lean I can get. And I'm like, I want people to start like looking at me for my heart, and like what I have to like share, what I have to give for like being able to help them heal or like whatever they're going through. And I think that's why like the podcast is so like important for us, because I'm in a place I don't want to just post about cute outfit and being sponsored by like seriously, like that's what I wanted the most. I was like, I just want like couple more like sponsor who can like pay me
Yeah.
enough so I can just live off of that and make posts and just live off social media. And God was just like, no, that's not what I have for you. And
Yeah.
even so many times I was like, I need to keep up with my YouTube. Why can't I keep up with my YouTube? And I'm like, okay, maybe YouTube is for me, but maybe just not in the way that I thought.
Yeah.
And it brings me back to the podcast. Maybe that's what he wanted the whole time. And he gave me that platform. So now we can, speak on his behalf and
Hmm.
just share and like, having a bigger impact. But yeah, I think
Totally. Totally.
I just got to a place I'm like, it's not enough for me to just post for my physique. I want to have a bigger impact than that.
Yeah. Same. And I think that's where we come to this then. It's like remove the things that are not for me and lead me to where you want me to be. And I felt like that's why I've just been so excited about this, because I just feel like it's a way for us to really just share who he is, but also, I mean, our life, our journey, what we're going through. Like, I don't know. It's just like, hey, like we're relatable. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like you said, I like how you said that, like posting just like your food and you look cute and your training, which is part of us. Those are part of us, but it's not
Hmm.
like we're a lot, it's a lot deeper than that, right? So like being able to express and have something like this, we can actually speak about certain things, you know what I mean, for people to really understand and feel like, hey, like I feel that way too, I'm not alone.
Yeah. And I think that being shared to like, share, not being scared to like share, like talk about your struggle. I mean, not everyone needs to be like out there on Instagram talking about how they feel,
Exactly.
But I
No,
mean, even like even close to like your close friends and stuff, right? Like, don't be scared to like be vulnerable and like share about like what you're struggling with. You shouldn't be ashamed. And again, like I watch so many podcasts, but I was like listening to podcasts and they were saying like to well, I was listening to George Janko podcast, and he asked, how are you able to be so vulnerable on a platform where like so many people hear you, when some people have a hard time even just being vulnerable with their best friends and stuff.
yes.
And I think I would have the same answer kind of he had. It's like, for me, I don't have a problem because I don't really care what people. And that was really like, I actually texted you that. And like even sometime when I'm like, I don't know, in my head, it's like, well, I shouldn't be scared about what people think because it doesn't matter. Only like what matters is what God thinks, but also just everyone's human. Like, everyone's the same. Everyone's going through things. It's not because they don't talk about it that they're not struggling with something.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm not scared to like be vulnerable, because if someone can relate to me and someone can, having a easier time to like go through stuff because they know they're not alone, it's totally worth it for me.
Hmm. It's better to say something than not to say something, because then what if you could have helped somebody by just even saying hi or hey, like, are you okay? Like, I'm just saying, like, in general, like in seeing somebody, you know what I mean? I always think of that, like, and I feel like I can always like sense when, like you always tell when somebody's off, or even just the way that they
Hmm.
speak about something, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, huh. So I just like, and plus I feel like when we're vulnerable like that, I feel like it just makes you more open to being vulnerable, where it's good for your soul, it's just good for you, you know what I mean? And like you said, like taking away like the thought of what people are going to think and how they're going to judge you, like no matter what, people are going to judge you over anything, you know what I mean? So I might as well be me, might as well
Yeah.
be you, And, I know that I'm a good person and I know that I have good intentions. You the same, Val. Like, I know my heart. I know. And so, like,
Mhm.
for me, like, there's no reason for me to shy away from that. If I'm open about certain things and people are like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just am. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that'll help someone be more open about certain things. So
Yeah.
I was talking about like, the food issues. I think is just a really big thing for everybody.
Yeah. I think that like the thing with food too, it's like is the hardest addiction because
Hmm.
let's say if you have like drug addiction or like alcohol and stuff, you can live without it. So
Yeah.
if you stop, I mean, it's still very hard. I'm not like downplaying it, but if you stop it, you can have it for the rest of your life and you're fine. But food is a thing that like it's always, you know you're struggling with it, but you need to have it every day regardless to survive. I wish sometime I could, like, sometime I got to places I was like, I wish I could just like fast for 3 months if I could. And like,
Question for you. I just thought of
yeah.
something. Would you be a competitor? Or I don't know if it's be a competitor, but would you be like if they were like, hey, like we want to sign you up on the show, Naked and Afraid? Have you ever seen Naked and Afraid?
No.
Oh my God, are you serious right now?
I usually love those shows. I don't know how I don't know about that show.
Yeah, Naked and Afraid. So like you don't even get paid to do this. Like obviously you just go on there and like, hey, like I want to go through this to experience like being in the wild and having to like hunt for my food and find water and build shelter. I don't think they get paid for this one for the Naked and Afraid specifically, but they obviously get to be on television and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If someone still paid me $200,000 to be on Naked and Afraid, I still don't know if I would do it. Like it looks challenging. It made me think of like how you're talking about like fasting and
Fasting.
not eating and stuff like that. Like these people are like, oh my gosh, like they haven't eaten. Some of them haven't eaten in days, and I'm like, man. I mean, you can go a while without eating, but still, like I feel like us is like I feel like people that have like a lot of muscle going on there. I feel like you'd go down quick
Oh,
because
it's worse because burn
that's
so much.
that's what Mike and we're always like, man, that would be we would be out quick. We'd be out like second day or something.
I don't know if I would do it. Like, it's funny because I did like, oh my god, I think it
What?
was last year, sometime last year. I was like, okay, like it was a Friday night. I was like, okay, let me try to like. I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna fast for the whole day, morning and night, and then I'll eat Sunday. So I wake up Saturday morning. I don't even remember if I went to do cardio or something, and then I was just like, I had nothing really to do during the day, and I didn't know if I wanted to go work out. And I
Yeah.
was just like watching TV and stuff. And literally by 1 p.m., I went to get food. I was like, I didn't even last like half a day. Like, this is bad. Like, so bad. But then I tried it again, like last year, but yeah, last year, but like end of the year. So, like, not long ago. And I lasted like 72 hours, but I had coffee with cream. So I don't know
Um,
if that I
I'm
think like the
so
coffee with cream it suppresses a bit. Like, it helps you like it helps.
it takes away like it takes away your appetite, right?
Yeah, and I think like the cream like or yeah, I think it was like a certain kind of milk. It
Oh,
can like
like half and half. Doesn't it take away like usually the
it
cream?
just like I think it fills you well, it doesn't fill you
Yeah.
up, but like, but it
I
felt
thought
good
it
though.
was,
I was like I could keep going, but I just, I don't know, like in that show you're probably like doing stuff and I mean I was still training and stuff.
I can't believe you did that. I feel like that would
I
be
know.
difficult.
I want to try again with like just water, but just I don't know. I'm not ready
You don't
for it.
need to do that.
Yeah.
It's so funny with just water.
Well, you should be doing water fast.
Yeah, that's true.
Just I don't know like how long, but
Just go on Naked and Afraid.
well, sign me up. Do you need to be naked?
Yeah, you gotta be naked. I know. Like the only thing I don't like is that you have to be naked out in like laying in bugs and like
I
I know
want
that I
that.
would be eaten alive. My
Oh
skin
yeah.
freaking right. That's the only thing
My
I no bugs. I don't
My
like bugs.
allergy would be like my eyes would be like blowing up red.
I know. But yeah, I mean, make it in
What
front of
about, isn't that the same show? No, like what's the other show? It's
like survive. Isn't there like a
yeah,
survivor?
Survivors.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. Then they have like Alone, which I think they have one actually in Alaska. They had one in Canada. Um, they have them in a different place, but they're actually by themselves. So like, I'd rather be with somebody
Oh, yeah.
than afraid. I feel like being by yourself is harder. But
Well, I'll
yeah,
sign up if you sign up.
I know we both like get on there. I'd be gone within 2 days. I'd be like, I'm sorry,
So that would be so bad.
I can't do this.
So
Like, I
bad.
need someone that can take care of me is really good, like in the wild, and then they can just take care of me.
I don't think I would be good. I don't think I, hopefully I can start a fire, but
I can't do any of it. I don't know.
this is so bad.
I know. I feel like I need to learn some though, because but I watching the show though, you can pick up a lot of tricks. So like I know some tricks, but
Yeah. Maybe that would
obviously,
be good actually. I should know I'm from Quebec, but
yeah.
that's
But
nah.
yeah, so it made me think of that. It made me think of like the fasting and stuff.
It's so funny.
The only fast I've ever done is like I remember they had like these like ginger juice or something like that. It's like years ago. Like it's like ginger juice and like lemon or and honey or something like that. But it was more of like a detox. Like
Yeah.
it's not really fasting. It's more of like doing like a detox and it's supposed to like help like get rid of parasites or something like that or like lose some fat. But I don't think I lasted with that because I'm just like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. I mean, it's like some people love them. I think
Mhm.
it's still like it can be good.
Yeah,
And it's still like you don't really have food in your system. It's more just like you still have something in your system, but
it's good
um
for the cleanse maybe, like to kind of just
yeah.
start up
But
again.
one thing that made me like also just remember in terms of like, any people's like obviously it's hard because for normal people, like people are used to just eat, I guess, like two, sometimes three times a day, or they'll have like two meals and then they'll like binge. Um, but I think like the biggest thing that helped me too, because we're like bodybuilding, we're used to have like 6 meal, 5, 6 meals a day. Like for me would be like I lowered the amount of meals in a day. And it actually helped me because the more you have like 6 meal, it's like almost like you have to eat so or like often that you're like always just thinking about like, okay, well, I need to eat next to get all your meals in, right? So the more like I reduced to 5 and it helped me like a lot because you're like first you can like if you want to wake up a bit later, you want to go to bed a bit earlier, you can because you have you're getting your meals in easier and you're
Agreed.
not you yeah and you have more time in between so you don't have to think about like eating on time so you're not always just thinking about like food. And then now I'm doing like 4 meals a day and you just have a bit bigger meals if there's anything, but like at least 4 meals a day I'm like I still like I'm like I can go like hours without eating because I don't have to eat as often. So that helped me too because I'm not there thinking about eating all the time. I can go like 4 hours and I'm like, okay, like it's been 4 hours, I haven't thought about food. This is great.
What
It's true. It really helpful. Like it's
How many hours do you usually do you go like 3 hours in between each meal? Or like two
well
hours?
now like I'll wake up at like 5:36 and I'll eat my first meal at like 9:30,
Hmm.
and then I'll eat at like 1, then like 4, and then I'll eat at 7. I'll go to bed. Yeah, so like 3 to 4 hours in between, I would say.
That's usually what I do. Usually I do about 3 hours. I notice like if I go past that, like I'm feeling like you just like like sluggish. You know what I mean? Like almost just
Yeah.
really kind of uncomfortable feeling. But you know that
Yeah.
they also say that it depends on every person. Really like their blood sugar is. What did they say again? Gosh darn it! I read something about like I don't know. I'm not going to go forward with it because I would be saying the wrong words. But like everybody's obviously different, their blood sugar. But it really, pretty much what they're saying, it dictates their personality. Like, yeah, they were saying like food like dictates someone's personality and like their blood sugar of like how like so some people can like go for hours not eating, right? And they're fine.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense because depending on your job, if you're
Mhm.
working like long hours and like you're used to not eating that much and you're still fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
for some people, like it's like, oh, like that person needs a lot of, they have to eat more. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the body get used to like a lot of things, but even like my mom, let's say like if she like my dad could like have a breakfast and then he could do stuff and then have dinner and it would be fine. But my mom, if she doesn't have like a dinner, no wait, a lunch, it's like different in like English and French. If she has breakfast and doesn't eat until like dinner, like if she doesn't have lunch, she'll have like headaches and stuff. So she
Mm,
always needs to have at least like something.
yeah.
But but yeah, I guess like it's pretty much where I've been, how I've been doing.
I'm glad you're doing better
Back
though.
on like yeah, like social media and like just but I also don't want to rush and push myself to like be okay, I need to like get back on training and like posting stuff. I really just want to listen to myself and how I feel and make sure that I'm like healing. And I think it was a big thing to like, find how I can heal before obviously speaking about it because I don't want to be like, yeah, like I'm doing that, I'm healing. I'm like not.
Mhm.
Um, but it feels good. It just gotta have patience, grace, and you know.
I could tell you've been feeling better with everything. You know what I mean? So I
Mm.
feel like you're starting to seem more like, okay, like not saying that there wasn't hope. I'm not saying that, but like almost like
Oh,
where
there
you,
was not. There
there,
was not.
yeah, it's like now you feel like, I'm like, okay, there was no hope at that. You were like a point where what
I
like
was
you're like,
ready to like make my grave, like almost. Like it's
oh,
like
Val.
no, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
No,
But
I
like no, but like when you're so used to just like the only way I can get back there is by prepping, and now you're like I don't have prep. What do I have? It's really like like you're not stable. You're like, well, like am I gonna be like that my whole life? Like it just I don't.
He's building, he's making you work. You know what I mean? And you are
Mhm.
like you're working on
Yeah.
where you need to work right now, and then okay, everything will come
Y-
along even better.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, like January, I kind of, been a bit more like soft on myself, and it's hard because healing is like, it's very like tricky. It's every like it's different for everyone.
Mhm.
Um, but because at first I was like, okay, like healing, I need to be very like kind to myself, which you need to. But I also got to a place end of January. I was like, okay, like I'm still eating healthy and stuff, and I've been able to stick to just like whole food and not processed food. But I'm also like eating probably way more than not way more than I should, but I'm still eating like if I'm craving food, I'll have like food, but more than like I'm not weighing anything. So at the end of the day, if I want to lose weight and I want to get back to a place, I still need to like restrict myself because at the end of the day, if you want to lose weight, caloric deficit. So I was still eating more than I should, but it was like good food. So my body was still getting better because you're not putting shit in your body.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I just got to a place I was like, okay, like as much as like I'm like I know I'm healing, I'm getting better. Like healing is also should be hard in a way. Like and that's why I was like conflicted a bit because I was scared, but you can also like be scared. So that's why I also like gave everything to God. I'm like, take away my fear. Like just having faith that he's there with me. But I was like, I can't be so like gentle on myself, if I
Yeah.
want to get back to where I was. So that's why I went back to a plan and I was like, no, now I need structure again. And I think you just need to like, slowly get yourself somewhere, but it also takes work and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard too. And I think that's why I realized I'm like, okay, it's still going to be hard. I need to do it. So, yeah.
Healing is it's a hard process, but it just gets easier.
Mhm. So yeah, I think that's that's all I got.
Yeah, as
Oh.
I'm thinking about like I'm like, what's my next meal?
I know. I'm like time to eat now. I'm
I
hungry.
know, I know, I know. Choose good options, and I will say like
Mhm.
you just I don't know, you have to learn your body, learn what's going on. Really take a step back and really see where you're at because we don't realize like food can have a big a hold on us. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
obviously want to utilize the food as medicine to our body, but also like enjoy things. But I
Mhm.
don't know. I guess people say like they hate when you say balance, but I feel like there's still like like there has to be somewhat of a balance, and everybody's different. But
Yeah,
um, I'm
I
proud of you.
know.
I'm proud of you,
Thank
Val. And I know that I know it's tough. I know your situation's different than mine, and I've
Mhm.
had my own struggles, but um, I don't know. At the end, there's the light, and I just feel like I don't know. You just find your way, and I feel like God is with you and guiding
Yeah.
you on where Val needs to be. So
Mhm.
proud of you.
Thank you. I love
And I
you.
think, and I love you. And I think the first thing too is like, even you like still like I know I'm gonna bring up again, but even like with you posting that, I think that was awesome because that was like the opener of
Mhm.
like okay, that was like a way for you to heal and
Yeah.
writing that out, and not that you you just needed to do that. Like it needed to be a
Mhm.
release for you and to share something like that because I felt
Mhm.
like you said before, like it was almost like you felt shame in the sense of like, God, am I being fake? Because I'm like sharing these posts and these things, but like this is what really is going on.
Going on.
I'm having a hard time, people.
Mhm.
I'm not perfect.
Yeah. And I think like for me, obviously, I'll share on my platform, but if you're someone who's like more private, please like go talk to someone, like either friend, like, but don't keep it in, like never keep someone like something in. Go talk to someone, go see a therapist. I've thought about it so many times. I just haven't reached out to one yet, but
Yeah.
I still want to. I think it's a good way to also just learn about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's deeper than you think, and it just, sometimes it's not even, sometimes you put it on yourself being like, I suck, I don't have self-control, like why am I like that, I don't have. And sometimes it's deeper than that, you just don't know, and you're just, you know you could heal it way faster if you would just like discover what is really the root of it. So
Yeah.
just go talk to someone, open up, don't be scared, and if you have like strong people in your life, they'll love you, they'll be there for you. And if you don't have anyone, God is the answer.
Yes.
He's
Amen.
always the answer, but yeah.
Yes, I know. Thanks,
Hmm.
Val. Thanks again for sharing all
Of
that.
course.
I enjoyed
So
hearing
yeah,
this.
I hope that
Mm,
it helps a little bit, just make you guys feel not alone, or
We
I guess.
understand. Val, like we
Yeah.
understand. So reach out to someone, like she said. If you really need, like, if this is pretty bad. So I
Hmm.
enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing this with you. This cast was nice.
Thank you.
Hearing your side of it, Val, and like
Hmm.
listening to you and what's been going on. Obviously we haven't spoken depth like we have. We spoke about this, but it's nice really hearing you like share that and stuff. So
Yeah,
thanks for
and
being
we'll
vulnerable.
keep doing that for anything you guys want to know. But
Mm,
yeah, it was good. I hope
yeah.
you guys enjoyed, and
Hope you guys enjoyed, and let's go eat.
yeah, and then we'll see you what Mondays we said.
Yeah. So we'll release the podcast on Mondays, right? Every Monday.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every Monday, guys, you'll have a video from us. So, again, like comment even here, comment something that you guys would like for us to talk about. I know that we've put things out there, give us topics, but we're probably still going to keep on bugging you. You may even be inspired listening to this. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't have like an instant answer, but if you have something, write it, comment, like, subscribe if you have not subscribed, because we're going to keep on popping out videos for y'all. So,
Yay.
yay.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.